No, you.
I accidentally paid $40.
We are live, everything you say is now on
$40 for
Thank you both for coming, by the way.
Lightroom. I paid $40 for Lightroom by accident.
What?
I did a free trial and then I forgot about it after the
I'll take one. I'll take one if you need to get rid of it.
If you don't use Notability, no, I think it's like,
Hello.
like $12 or something
Do you
like
know
that.
what to say?
Yeah, Noah texted
But it's like my primary notes app, so I
No.
Linda, I don't think you need
You sit at your
Okay,
own
good.
chair and do
Oh, I
it.
don't
Yeah. Yeah,
What's my
you can
phone?
look at your phone.
I didn't know
too.
you were a Yeah, I have my computer or anything like
Yeah,
that.
Lightroom.
So
You're acting treasurer, so you're able to look at it.
$20, 22.
Oh, for the year, that's why, yeah. that makes sense.
Okay,
Killed it.
cupcakes.
John doesn't get cupcakes.
I don't know.
This goes on gets no cupcakes.
So I think we need four.
No, thank you.
I didn't think.
No cupcakes. Oh,
One.
This one yours or ours?
I went to chair.
Yeah,
Can
well,
we share
Carl-
up in the corner as well?
I mean, usually I just like. There's just no.
Let's have a picture of like the live stream screen of the kid.
We have 19 votes.
That's typical. I was just like, I really.
You were
It looks like.
Yeah.
So were you.
Oh, Cam, after
Yes.
the meeting, I just need like 2 minutes to get everyone for a photo and for all of us to say happy Thanksgiving. Can I have
Okay.
2 minutes?
Sorry,
Thank you.
that's not.
As long as we don't go overtime and stop the class from
sounds good.
happening after.
That's, hopefully we don't go. Or would you rather do it now?
Wait for
I
after.
figured, okay.
Yeah, we definitely make four.
I'd like to personally say thank you to everyone. I'll shout her out. Swipe for a tree. It's about time to say.
Christian
No,
texted
well-
saying that she's gonna go. Me and Baker, Chris Brown.
No.
Have you seen those? It's just like this, just a chill guy. And he's like, you know what that is?
Yeah. Coach said that.
I still delivered her
normal age.
crispy donuts yesterday. I was so
Just coming.
And then my boss texted me.
Jeff should be good. That's.
When was scheduled? And I'm like, yeah,
That reminds me.
it's so good.
I'll take the L.
Love retail.
Is that or seminar?
I hate it and I love it. I'd rather work there. I started in retail.
See, where did you work?
That's different. I
Oh,
work in a
perfect.
small clothing store. Where I get to buy all of their clothes.
Right next up.
That's what I get to do all day.
Meeting to order, roll call.
Senator Amsden. Senator Baker. Senator Bolio. Senator Bissonnette.
Here.
Senator Bouchard.
Here.
Senator Jay Brown. Senator Kay Brown. Senator Day.
Here.
Senator Desai. Senator Godek.
Present.
Senator Gilmartin. Senator Holman.
Here.
Senator Hunt.
Present.
Senator Kilday.
Here.
Senator Lipscomb. Senator Lemieux. Senator Lucier. Senator McKiernan.
Here.
Senator Miller. Senator Piacenza.
Here.
Senator Raymond.
Here.
Senator Scorpa,
Present.
Senator Shamorat,
Present.
Senator Silver,
Here.
Senator Stearns, Senator Thapa, Senator Thurston,
Here.
Senator Weiner, Chairperson Amaya,
Here.
Chairperson Cloutier,
Here.
Chairperson Greenwood,
Here.
Chairperson Peralt, Secretary Bronson,
Here.
Vice President Souza,
Here.
President Kaufman.
Present. All right, everyone. It seems that we are ending the semester with a bang with the last two meetings, so let's not waste any time and get right into it. At this time, I make the motion to accept the minutes from the 11/19/2024 meeting.
Second.
Hearing a second, are there any additions, revisions, or deletions to the minutes? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion passes. All right, next, moving into new and existing business, we have two visitors here today from the GUR Revision Committee, Professor Mazar and Professor Danks. I'm gonna allocate 15 minutes to this conversation. I'll let you both introduce yourself and go over the changes. So yeah, the floor is yours.
Sure, thank you for having us here. My name is Professor Mazur. I teach in the Math Department. I'm also the chair of the Undergraduate Programs Committee. So we are a faculty governance body that oversees curriculum and in particular, the general university requirements.
I'm Professor Dunch, and I'm in economics, and I am also on the Undergraduate Programs Committee and on this special committee to revise our general education requirements.
All right, so with the, could you guys both go over the planned changes and then how that compares to the current GUR system for the students?
Sure. Yeah, so first of all, this has been a process that has been going on for about 2 years, changing something like the general university requirements that touches every program at the university and that a lot of people have a hand in delivering is kind of a big undertaking. So we're hopefully coming to a successful end of this whole process now. And where we are, we got a chance to meet with this body last year and kind of give you updates and get your feedback, and also this year as well too. And we met recently with Camden and also the academic secretary too. So here's where we are right now. We have kind of coalesced on a new model for the general university requirements. First of all, if successful, that name would go away and be replaced with something called the Golden Bear Discovery Program. So where it stands now, I'll go over kind of like the highlights of it in a second. But where it stands now, it's recently passed through the Undergraduate Programs Committee. And the next and final stop is at the University Faculty Senate. And they're going to take that up at their meeting on the Monday after Thanksgiving. So this coming Monday. So let me give you, and so we hope that that is successful. There's still, questions and things to sort out about that. But let me at least give you an overview of what it looks like and maybe a little bit about how it compares now. Golden Bear Discovery you can think of as sort of a journey in 3 stages. Stage 1 is a beginning stage, mostly first year stuff. It involves different ways of kind of approaching the first year core courses, like first year seminar that you do now. Also includes some, of course, the freshman writing courses and English communication, and a third course in communication that's sort of flexible that can be taken throughout your program. I'll get back to kind of some of the details of the first year in a second, but I want you to understand the second part of this before we go back there. The middle part is kind of like the breadth requirements. Like now that you consider sort of like the foundations and perspective stuff that you have in your in the GUR now. So we've organized a different way of meeting those requirements that is hopefully more flexible, that fixes some of the things that you may be experiencing now and getting in certain classes, and also just gives you more opportunity to explore things that might interest you. So this stage is called Navigating Your Trails. There's 4 main trails that we have. So the first is science, mathematics, and technology. And as proposed, the requirements there are, 1 lab science course, 1 math course, and either 1 or 2 other courses, your choice. Could be another science course, could be another math course, or could be something more broadly speaking, like a technology course, maybe a quantitative course that's more related to your major, a computer science course, things like that. So in that category or trail, you have to take at least 3, but at most 4 courses, and spread out that way. I should also mention too that over all of this, we're accredited by NECHI, the New England Commission on Higher Education, and among their accreditation standards, every general education program has to contain at least 40 credits of coursework. So we're also operating in that, with that constraint as well too. The 3 other trails in this category, there's creative expression, there's citizenship, identity, and community, and there's social systems. So for creative expression, you have to take at least 1 course. Think about art courses, film, music courses, like things that are current aesthetics courses, but there could be other things there too, like maybe a creative writing course would count under that, poetry course, maybe some other way of injecting creativity into a course where that's a main focus. The next category is citizenship, identity, and community. I'll just read a sentence here of how we've defined that. Students explore citizenship, communities, and/or identities through human experiences, stories, ideas, artifacts, or cultural practices. We analyze events and ideas that have shaped world communities and notions of citizenship and identity. Students practice interpreting these events and ideas and relating them to their own identities and communities. So think about history courses, maybe current global cultures courses, but also even things like intermediate and advanced language courses. Currently, they don't have a kind of a home or sort of count in the general university requirements. We wanted to make a home for them. And also certain other types of courses. And we're saying pick at least 2 courses from that area. And then the last course, or last trail or group here is social systems, where you take at least 1 course, and that's within sort of like, think about the social behavioral perspective currently, psychology, sociology, political science, international studies, so forth, things like that. Overall, you have to take 27 credits in there, but there's some free choice in there. In most majors, you would have some free choice to pick a category where maybe you could take more than the required courses in. It's up to you. So maybe in your choices, you want to take a couple of creative expression courses or a couple of social systems courses. So there's some flexibility built in that way. And then the third sort of part of this journey is the capstone. And that would be something that you're doing in each of your majors. It would be a major focus. Think about like if you're an engineering major, think about your senior design project. In the math major in my department, we have a year-long senior project. Think about senior seminars that you have in your major. So we would kind of bring those all under the Gen Ed umbrella and talk about some commonalities there to help you understand like why all this stuff that you're doing is important. And just the last thing I'll say, going back to the first year, kind of the replacement for the change around for first year seminar are 2 courses that we're calling a blue course and a gold course. Blue stands for belonging and learning in the university environment. That is a course that's sort of focused on advising, becoming a successful college student, learning about places on campus, building community within your major. the gold course is a course that is, you'll have a choice about interesting topics in which to take a gold course. So our idea for that is it's a 3-credit course. It's also going to count for one of those breadth requirements that I described before. And it's built around a topic, a question that's of interest, that is important in the world today, and that would bring together people from across majors. You know, I know in a lot of times in first-year seminars now, you're grouped by major. This is an opportunity to bring people together across majors, all studying one topic in an engaging way and with a relatively small class size. So that's I guess the general sketch. And as I say, now we're still in the approval process, so I don't want to like hand you anything out yet, but we're hoping that we can get this through successfully, and that will make a difference. I think you'll find it more flexible than what we have in terms of requirements now, and also hopefully that you understand the big picture of general education, and that it gives you some opportunities to pull things together that maybe that you don't have now. So if there's anything else you want to add, I want to be mindful of the time.
I mean, now we have foundations and perspectives. So this is just a reimagining that's trying to be a little more developmental and have your capstone kind of reflect that. But also addressing a lot of concerns that the students said about what's going on in the first year, trying to take a different approach to that.
The floor is open for questions or comments.
So you said the change for the first year with the blue and gold classes, would that be for like all the colleges or just in the college arts?
So since you're in engineering, let me just also add that in engineering, that 1-credit blue course is going to be added to your, what is it, Engineering 103, I think? It's probably very similar to what you've been doing. And in business has reimagined its first year a little bit in this process, and that 1 credit will be tied to like an intro to business course. In arts and sciences, it's going to depend on your major. We are encouraging arts and sciences to follow what engineering and business are doing, because we think tying it to a class is going to be more successful than just having this 1 credit where students are like, what's this 1 credit? But, you know, to tie advising to maybe, like if you were an economics major, tie it to Econ 111, or if you're a history major, to tie it to something that you have to take, one of your first semester courses, and tie it like that. So to be determined.
Senator Holman.
You said earlier that you're trying to make them like combine throughout the majors. How would that work to then put it in an intro class if like a criminal justice major and another major are in the same seminar class together?
The gold course is going to be separate from that 1 credit advising. So it's not, this gold course is not an intro to your major. It's a chance for you to explore a contemporary or maybe a historical issue. It depends on what we're doing, but to take something that hopefully appeals, has an interest to you, and get to know other students across majors. One of the things we also know is that a lot of students come in, you're 18. How are you supposed to know what you want to major in? A lot of you switch majors or make adjustments in some way. So this gives you a chance to just get to know other students who are outside your major, but explore, really get more on what does it mean to research at university level? What does it mean to analyze sources? What is information literacy? And really focus on that around a topic.
Just before we continue, I'm just going to seek unanimous consent to add 5 more minutes to the conversation. Are there any objections? Okay, seeing none. Before I call on someone else, something that I do want to say is, first off, thank you both for your hard work and dedication to this. I think this addresses a lot of the concerns that we talked about both last year, what we talked about with you guys during our executive board meetings, and what both Secretary Bronson and I talked about with you guys during that meeting as well, or during our meetings as well. Something that the Senate has heard a lot long-term is the issues students face with CNAs for engineering and the College of Business. Labs are probably the two biggest things that people complain about as students because they're so hard to get into. I think making our entire system less rigid, which is what this does, will help with that and help alleviate those issues. Hopefully, assuming this is approved, we won't have cases where students are being told either by their faculty advisors or by university advising or other people on campus, their peer advisors, that in order to hit certain goals that they have with their education, they have to go to a community college and get the credits elsewhere. I think this alleviates that issue significantly. Another side note too, something that I did want to highlight too, is that this seems like it helps the professors as well. I know something that we talked about in our last meeting was it opens up staffing for a lot of departments. And it also just probably helps a lot with the advising side of things too, knowing that there are more open doors to hit certain requirements instead of having a very, very strict and rigid set of requirements to hit with a very limited amount of classes to select from. The floor will remain open for questions. Yep.
So I actually have two questions. First off, could you explain the middle portion again a little bit? Just how many credits from that are needed, as in, or how many classes about?
Sure, so it's 27 credits total among those four areas. So, and ignore the fact, like, I know you're an engineering major and you're gonna have to take like 2 math and 2 science, and so you'll kind of be filling up that one area with math and science. As long as you, but like, let's take just a less restrictive major. All that is, the minimum requirements, just to meet the minimum in each category is 21 credits. So 7 courses. And then you have at least 2 other courses to sort of freely choose, to get up to 27. And we were, on our committee, we were working with folks from the engineering department too. And so we're very aware of like, how do you fit all this stuff in? And it's doable with the kind of the same amount of stuff that you're taking now, but it does remove a lot of the restrictions, like the CA requirement would be no longer, and you'd have more options there and so forth. Was there another?
Yes, and then the other question is, you mentioned making the senior project more cohesive across disciplines. Is it really just making sure everybody has a senior project, or is it sort of a combination? Because an engineering design project versus a creative
Yes.
showcase or whatever.
So how we envision that is, first of all, using what you currently have in the major, but assessing in that things, some of which you're probably already doing, like oral and written communication. A lot of senior projects already, or capstone experiences already include some kind of significant writing, some creative work, oral presentation, and so forth. And so let me get out the list. So the idea is that these are all, they're within your major. It's stuff you're probably already doing, but there's just a couple of things that we want to make sure everyone's touching on, like oral written communication, critical analysis, logical thinking, information literacy skills, and professionalism and ethics. So there's ways to do that in each of the majors, but it's still a major focus course. It's not common. It's just that we want to make sure you're touching on all those things within the context of your major.
And if you're in engineering, it's an accredited program, and this was our colleague from engineering, Professor Gettens, really thought that, like, a lot of, we're doing this for our accreditation anyways, so hopefully it's not a heavy lift for anyone.
Right, yeah,
but-
you probably
something
wouldn't
kind of-
experience a lot different, you know, from what you do now.
Senator Lucy.
So this is just a minor question, but you said that the blue course would be 1 credit. Is the goal 2 or is it 3?
Gold's 3 because it also counts under that, you know, those breadth requirements, those 4 areas too. So it's a 3-credit course, yeah.
Would both be in the fall semester of their freshman year?
That's a great question.
I think it's gonna have to depend on the major. I mean, ideally, it would be great to fit that in the fall of your freshman year, but the way we have it written is that you just have to take it in either fall or spring, whatever works better in programs and so forth, so. Think of something that think of something that you're taking now in the freshman year as like a GUR course and just swap that out for a gold course.
Senator Day.
So I might have just missed this, but I know you were talking about the requirement for the general education to be 40 credits. But then you had mentioned 27 credits. What is that difference? I just didn't
The
get that.
27 credits is the trails.
Okay.
Plus 3 for the capstone or something you're doing in your senior year.
Okay.
So now we're up to 30. The 9 credits of communications, the communications requirements, written and so on, that's 9 credits plus the 1 for the
Okay.
blue, for
Thank
the
you so much.
advising.
Senator Bouchard.
I had a question because you said it would go along with like the freshman like seminar classes. So especially since like we have like a bunch of different majors in my seminar class, since it's an honors class, like would there be like honors options of like these courses like would you
Yeah, no, we didn't consider that.
Senator Godek.
I know you mentioned that you're trying to like get it to be so the majors are kind of a little more diversified within the first year seminars. And just because of people not always knowing and changing their majors, what if there's someone that comes in that is set on their major, knows they wanna do it, all 4 years, and like they get put into that and like with the first year seminars that we do have now, like get to know a little bit more about your major. How's that necessarily
We need to
gonna work?
move away from calling it first year seminar, or at least we're trying to, because we don't want you to have that picture in your head. What is your major?
Sport management.
Yeah, so in sports management, you are still gonna have an intro course, intro to business, where you are still gonna be cohorted. That's where the blue credit, that blue 1 credit is gonna be tagged onto. So you're gonna be still doing a lot of that. You need to do some breadth. And so the gold course, it gives you a chance to meet people outside of your major, even if you're convinced you're gonna do what you're gonna do, that's great. This isn't about trying to expose you to other majors or anything. It's to build up your social network a little bit and to start bringing in some of the things that are really important about university education.
Senator.
I had one concern. I may be offloading a little over here, but regarding the cultures requirements, I missed out. Actually, I was late, so I missed out on that. Are there gonna be any changes with the cultures thing?
Yeah, there's no longer, would no longer be like the cultures or the CA requirement and so forth. So it's much more flexible. I mean, the existing like cultures classes will still have a home under this new model. They'll just be in broader categories that you have some freedom of choice over.
Okay, so do you wanna say something?
No, I was just gonna say, there are some cultures courses where they do a lot of aesthetics, and those might find a home in creative expression. Others might find a home in the community identity and citizenship categories, so, but there won't be a specific, you have to take a
And
cultures
some might
course, it'll
become
just
gold
be an
courses
option.
too.
Yeah, and some might become gold courses.
Okay, perfect.
Some-
That was my question.
Okay.
Something that I do want to say, kind of going off of like what you said, so for the accreditation, Our university has to make sure that we are taking certain classes, and these are meant to be a breath of fresh air from our majors. So all of us are supposed to take these classes, and they're also meant in some circumstances to intertwine with them, like the capstone and like other things where like you might see in your major specifically, right now, it might cover a class for like computer competency. And it's the same thing with this, but it's more flexible. It's less rigid. Again, the big thing that we hear, especially in Senate, is that students are not able to get into those classes. They're not able to get them done on time. They have issues making their schedules. And this ultimately alleviates that issue by opening the door for multiple other departments and multiple other things to hit those requirements for students to do. And I think that's just a win for everyone all around. Yeah, so
Just to confirm, assuming that like this is passed and these new GURs take effect, it only takes effect for the upcoming catalog years, right? It wouldn't change what's existing that we're under?
Right.
Okay.
Senator Score.
You still get the joy of taking a CA class.
So, sorry, I'm understanding from this, you're gonna be taking an extra hour out of schedules for freshmen like fall and spring semester, like it's a entirely separate like meeting time in class? Or
For-
blue and gold courses?
For what specifically?
Like blue and gold courses,
So blue course, think about like what's your major?
neuroscience.
Neuroscience, okay, so you have a LE 100 class that you have taken. Is that 2 credits, 1 credit?
It was
I think
three.
it might be.
when I took
Was
it,
it?
I believe,
Okay.
right? I thought it was 3.
A lot of them
Or
are.
it felt like 3.
Yeah, a lot of them are 2 or sometimes 1, so that, you swap that in the schedule for the blue course, which is 1 credit. And, I mean, however it happens, whether it's in the, along with another class or whether it's a standalone. And then the gold course is just a replacement for just like another, like if you have a slot where you're taking another GUR or another class in the fall or the spring, you just take a gold class instead. It counts toward your breadth requirements of the 27 and so forth. So we've been working with the faculty and the majors to kind of diagram out how you can fit all this stuff in. So we've got it sorted.
In terms of like choice, I know that a lot of students just kind of take whatever class is available, regardless of if they're interested. Do you guys have any plans to hire more faculty so that they can offer more sections of things that kids might be interested in?
Well, I'd love to hire more faculty, but it's not up to us. We think that by relaxing requirements and sort of rethinking the first year, that's gonna open up, that's gonna solve, that problem. So.
Thank you.
Okay, we will take one more question, and I just want to see if someone hasn't spoken yet that wants to ask. Okay, Senator Kilday.
I was wondering how you see, if this gets approved, the transition going with departments still having to cater to upperclassmen who have these old requirements, as well as the incoming freshmen who have these new ones.
Sure. First of all, we're operating under the principle that anything that currently counts toward the GUR should have a home here. So in other words, that by offering the same classes that you need in order to help you all meet all your requirements, you'll also be helping the students coming along in the new program meet their requirements. They just count under different categories and so forth. But it is something that we have been like really mindful of, because trying to transition this is a big undertaking. So it's going to take communication across campus if this approves to talk with. I mean, sure, marketing and admissions for educating new students about this, but also all the current advisors, the first year office, and so forth. So we kind of have a diagram about plan about what we want to do and when, if this is successful to bring it online.
And the committee we're on will also, you know, we're gonna get you through.
We're gonna transition our discussion from questions and answers about this to the letter that I wrote up. Just before I go ahead and read that, I do just wanna reiterate that I feel like all of us, even though these changes will not directly affect most of us, all of us do have a duty to talk about them. We have gone through the current GUR process, and the current GUR process hasn't changed for years. So for that reason, it is important that we do talk about it and we do ask the questions that we have been asking. Ultimately, I feel as though this is an upgrade from the current system. I feel like it opens more doors for students to get these requirements done. I feel like it hits the goals that were set out by the Faculty Senate, and it covers the issues that we see as students whenever registration period comes around and we have to take these classes, no matter what college you're from. So for that reason, I wrote up the letter that you all have before you, and I'm just gonna read it out loud. And then after that, we are going to do a full Senate vote of everyone, including the non-voting members of Senate. If you vote yes, your name will be signed to this letter and it will be sent to Faculty Senate. How they distribute that, I'll leave that up to Professor Knott, but it will be sent to them just for them to have, indicating that you do support it. If you vote no, your name will not be signed to it. That's all we're voting on for this. So the letter states, "Dear members of the Western New England Faculty Senate, we, as our campus's Student Senate, would like to express our endorsement of the proposed changes to the general university requirements. At our general meeting on November 26th, the Student Senate was informed of and discussed the proposed changes, and we believe they will benefit our community, students and faculty alike. The Student Senate, as an organization, has been hearing concerns about the issues students face with GURs since long before any of us set foot on campus as students. We believe this alone is a strong indicator that it is time for a change, which is why you have received this letter from us today. We commend the efforts of our hardworking professors who have met with us and collaborated with each other to ensure that these requirements align with the evolving needs of today's college students. We believe the proposal you have before you lays the foundation for student success, both academically here at Western New England and in their future professions. The current proposal benefits students by providing a cohesive academic experience while offering greater flexibility. It also maintains the core values of a liberal arts education by exposing students to a broad range of subjects and topics, while simultaneously enabling them to more easily pursue minors or double majors due to its built-in flexibility. For these reasons and more, we view this proposal as an excellent return on investment for students, regardless of their discipline or college of study. As the elected undergraduate student leaders on campus, we recognize our responsibility to advocate for the best interests of both current and future students. The vast majority of us will not directly benefit from this proposal if it is approved. But we hope this demonstrates how deeply we have reflected on our experiences as students so far and how much we want to create a better path for those who will follow in our footsteps. After engaging in conversations with members of the GUR committee, such as Professor Mazur, Professor Dunch, and Professor Schoonmaker, we strongly believe this proposal represents a positive step forward. It directly addresses the longstanding issues faced by students and faculty alike. We understand that the ultimate decision lies with the Faculty Senate, and we will fully respect whatever conclusion you all reach. We hope that you will take our support for this proposal into consideration as you make your decision. Sincerely, signed by me as the author, and as I said before, if you vote yes, your position and last name will be listed on the letter as well.
We'll take off and look at these photos. So thank you for the time, appreciate it. And again, if there's any follow-up questions, please contact us. Happy to answer and talk about it.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will open the floor for discussion, questions, comments, or revisions too, if anyone has any. Okay. Oh, Senator Lucio.
So it's just a small thing. It says flexibility about minors or double majors built into it. They already left, but
So since it is less rigid and there's more opportunity for you to choose from with each class, there's more opportunity for those classes to actually reflect into a minor or a double major. Because right now with how our current GUR system is set up, you have to have one of those very, very strict set of classes for each requirement. Whereas in their proposal with the trails, there is a whole bucket of classes that fit into each one of those buckets. So before, with our current system, it's those very, very strict few classes for those requirements. Now with this, it's a whole bucket. So you could take those and those classes, whether it be 100, 200, 300, could be applied to a second major or a minor. Does that make sense? Yeah. Senator Holman.
Okay, just to like dumb this down for me. So like when I go into like pick my schedule, right? You know how it comes up natural lab science and it gives me that list.
Mhm.
Basically, there won't be a list anymore. I could just like click something and it gives me a whole bunch of classes rather than just like the 15 that are listed.
Yes, well, for that, as Professor Mazur said, the lab and the math are still, or you are required to take one lab and one math versus 2 sciences and 2 maths.
So it goes
currently.
from 2 to 1.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
If I'm understanding correctly, cause like I've heard a couple different times, it's like the buckets, like you still, like how there's like the 2 math, 2 science, like there's still going to be a certain number of those requirements that's a similar number to what we have now, but you have the flexibility to count like a computer science as a science in your flexibility of like choosing your classes, or like anything that's, it's more like a STEM bucket rather than just like just a lab science, like with like literally biochem physics on it. Like you have like the ability to pick from that area rather than just the subject.
Something to point out too, just from my notes with the various meetings and stuff that I've had with them on that, the science, math, and tech is the most rigid of the rest of the buckets. So of all those 4 buckets. So the rest of them are way more open than what we have currently. I just think that benefits the students overall. I think that opens the door for so much more opportunity, less stress when it comes to picking classes, which is a win for students in general. Yes, Senator Brown.
Does this mean there's gonna be more classes or no?
Like more
Just in general.
just in general. I don't think there's necessarily going to be more unless they're obviously hiring more professors and creating more, but it makes it so that other classes can actually hit these requirements. Like, I think there were a couple examples that they use in our meetings, like comparative politics for like political science classes might actually be able to group in to something that what the new CNA would be, which would be the citizenship, identity, and community or social systems, for example, because it hits those requirements. It goes over things like that. Yes.
And also to answer, cause like I kind of thought of something while you were saying that, like your amount of credits that you're taking, like it says you have to take 120 to graduate, that isn't changing, just the flexibility, since there's a whole section for electives and there's the College of Arts and Sciences core if you're a College of Arts and Sciences person, and then there's the GURs, like they're kind of making that easier to understand, and instead of there being like a million different sections with a million different things that you have to take this one specific class type of situation, like you still take the same exact number of credits to graduate as you always have, but it would be like, because it's so much more like fluid with your choices, it's like easier to build that schedule out of the 120.
I think overall, the biggest benefit to this is, I guess, the engineering and the business students who are having such a hard time getting in those CNAs and any other GWAR requirements, because that's probably the 2 biggest constituencies that complain about that the most, because it's so strict of requirements for professors to get their classes into, because there's only a select few, and then those seats fill up fast because everyone's trying to take them at once. So yes.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Last semester, I had to deal with the CA requirements. So for junior engineers currently, you have to take a CA course. The thing is, though, there's only 4 that are offered most semesters when it's required to take it. And if that doesn't work with your schedule, you don't have options to choose any of the other cultures courses. And that kind of limits what you can choose for what you're interested in as well.
I do want to wrap this up and actually vote on this because we have to go through a roll call and I want to be respectful of everyone else's time and came here for other reasons. So I will take one last comment. Got it.
I'll agree with Senator Gilmartin. Coming from a business student, I've been trying to take my cultures course since my sophomore year. And with having it be a CA requirement like the engineers, it's tougher for business students to get that to fit in, especially when I was trying to get it for this semester. And I could only fit maybe 1 or 2 of the CAs that they did offer in my schedule. So I'm kind of happy that they're doing this to make it so it's less strict for those business and engineering students who need that CA, so they don't have to take the art classes or something like that. But it's just frustrating too, like trying to get those CA requirements with the cultures because they go so quick.
All right, we're gonna move into the full roll call.
Senator Amsden,
Yes.
Senator Baker,
Yes.
Senator Bolio,
Yes.
Senator Bissonnette,
Yes.
Senator Bouchard,
Yes.
Senator J. Brown, Senator K. Brown,
No.
Senator Day,
Yes.
Senator Desai,
Yes.
Senator Godek,
Yes.
Senator Gilmartin,
Yes.
Senator Holman,
Yes.
Senator Hunt,
Yes.
Senator Kilday,
Yes.
Senator Lipscomb, Senator Lemieux,
Yes.
Senator Lucier,
Yes.
Senator McKiernan,
Yes.
Senator Miller,
Yes.
Senator Piacenza,
Yes.
Senator Raymond,
Yes.
Senator Scorpa,
Yes.
Senator Shamorad,
Yes.
Senator Silver,
Yes.
Senator Stearns,
Yes.
Senator Thapa, Senator Thurston,
Yes.
Senator Weiner, Chairperson Amaya,
Yes.
Chairperson Cloutier,
Yes.
Chairperson Greenwood,
Yes.
Chairperson Peralt, Secretary Bronson.
Yes.
I vote yes. Vice President Souza,
Yes.
President Kaufman.
Yes. You don't need
Yeah.
to read the tally. Okay, so
I have a
it
tally.
seems that there is almost unanimous support for this. So I will edit the letter, have the signatures on the bottom of it, send it all out to you, and then send it to Professor Knott. Next, we're just, or first off, I am going to make the motion to suspend the agenda.
Second.
So the main reason why Derek Beck is not here, I want to move the budgets up and then we'll do the committee chair appointments if we have time. Voice vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, those abstaining, okay, agenda suspended. So we are going to start with the budgets. And at this time, I make the motion to make a reserve allocation of $7,083.84 for the club and organization storage lockers reserve project.
Second.
Okay, here in a second, we'll have a 3-minute conversation for this. I'll hand the floor off to Chairperson Cloutier.
So we have been working on putting in a storage space for lockers at the top of the stairs in between the Senate chambers and the Senate office. So in that corner where there's a little cutout, we're looking to put 26 lockers, ranging in size for clubs and organizations to be able to check out from student involvement so that they can store some of their like event decorations, things like that, so that it's not taking up so much space in student involvement. We figure that this would be a really good investment for a lot of the clubs and organizations on campus, and it would allow them more autonomy over when they get to take out the stuff, because right now they have to go to student involvement, get someone that has a key, and go and get all their stuff. Should I show the budget? Or how does Nadu usually do this?
And the budget's 7,083.
Yeah. Yeah, so that consists of the actual lockers, the combo locks, and the shipping.
Are there any questions or comments about that? Yes.
So for like the combo locks, would it be given to like the president of the club organization and they will be the only person to access to it basically?
That's gonna be something that I have to talk about with Bridget a little bit more, but I don't see why if a president were to receive a code for a locker, they couldn't share that with the rest of the e-board. Student involvement also will have a master key, just in case someone needs to get in there.
Yes. Any other questions or comments about this? Yes, Senator Gilday.
You said there are 26. How will it be determined which clubs get lockers?
Partly on a need basis, but mostly just first come, first serve. Like I said, they were checking amount of student involvement, so obviously there's some clubs that really need the storage, but after those are taken care of, it would just be a first come, first serve.
Ultimately, it will be up to student involvement to make those decisions with their discretion, because they're the ones who work with all the clubs besides just us, and I feel like we don't need to vote on who gets the lockers. So we'll trust Director Grimm with that decision. So any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, just out of the interest of time, we're gonna do a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion passes. Next, we're going to move into the public safety meet and greet and Suffolk Cruiser initial allocation. So at this time, I make the motion to allocate $645.31 to the public safety meet and greet and Suffolk Cruiser event.
Second.
All right, hearing a second, I'll allocate another 3 minutes to this conversation. I'll hand the floor off to Chairperson
So
Greenwood.
I am running this event. It's also a pairing with CAB on their therapy dog, so we'll be doing it the same day. That way it's a nice collab. It will be also a donation drive where toys will be, so we're also having a raffle basket, which is part of the budget. So for every toy you bring, you get a raffle ticket. So we can stuff a cruiser and help donate and to help support our public safety and get them out to the public so everybody knows who they are, how to contact them, and so forth. The budget consists of a hot chocolate bar, donuts, and then a raffle basket. Pretty simple, just to have a nice event, and we'll be pairing with CAB along with that. I've been talking with Grace for that, so yeah. Are there any questions?
Questions or comments about this? I do think it's a good thing to both partner with public safety and make sure like their resources are communicated to the student body and do a community service and just give the student body just some food and refreshments all in one. So thank you for doing that. We'll do another voice vote for this. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion passes. All right, next we are going to move into the Golden Voices initial allocation. So at this time, I make the motion to allocate the Golden Voices a level B allocation of $1,250. Second. All right, hearing a second, I will allocate 5 minutes to this conversation. So I had a conversation with Treasurer Peralt, who is not here because he is sick, about this allocation, and both of us were in agreement in regards to the amount. So the Golden Voices requested a level C allocation of $1,700, and they were given less and dropped to level B for 2 reasons. The first is last year they only spent $929.47 of their $1,500 allocation. So that is within the level B range. And then the second is they spent money without an allocated budget. So for what they spent last year, it's been very, very rare for us to increase a budget for a group who did not spend a significant amount of the money we allocated them last year. And obviously $929 is a lot, or not necessarily a lot less, but there's a significant amount of money unspent there. So we want to ensure that all the money is being spent efficiently. And then also they spent money for their Paint the Rock and Showcase music, which without a budget allocation, they were spending money that they didn't necessarily have yet. So because of those 2 reasons, we decided to drop them down a little bit. Both Treasurer Peralt and myself thought that the events that they planned and are putting on are worth it to still give them the $1,250, whereas other clubs would typically drop them to around what they spent the year before. So we encourage them that if they do need the remainder of the money that we did not allocate them in this allocation, to come back and make an additional allocation request with Treasurer Peralt and have that voted upon by all of you. Are there any questions, comments, or statements from any member of the Golden Voices?
I don't think so. I'm confused about the language of that second reason that you listed. When you said that we spent money that we didn't necessarily have. We didn't spend any of the schools. I just wanna make sure that's clear. We spent our own money and we intended to go through the reimbursement process once an actual budget was allocated to us.
Yes, but that still is spending before, like, if you're still reimbursing it afterwards, you're still technically spending money that you don't have yet because you're getting that money back from the activities fee revenue. It's just, you're getting it back after you get the budget allocated, and that's not necessarily good practice that we wanna encourage clubs to do, because if they do something like that and if they get a significant amount less where they can't get a reimbursement or a check request, then we cannot guarantee that the money is going to be covered. So that's in violation of the financial rules a little bit, which is why it got dropped down a little bit also.
Okay. I think I understand that, but all money that was spent was in preparation for an event that we plan every semester. And without the allocation, we still had to plan and carry out the event. I'm just confused as to how Senate expects us to pay for the event without, I mean, we didn't use any money, Senate. I was just confused as to
Yeah, so
what's the intent.
So that is correct. You guys did do an event that you do every year. But so again, the reason why the recommendation is less is because now you have to kind of rework and go around the initial allocation process, because you're supposed to have your initial allocation before the event is even planned, which we can't stop you from necessarily booking a space and still doing the event and also signing off on some documents, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have an approved budget by us. And with that, the permission of the elected student senators to actually spend that money.
Okay.
Yes.
Why is there initial allocation request this semester? Like when we went through all of the initial allocations like in the spring for this year, why were they not?
So they had, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there was a little bit of e-board turnover that played a factor into that. And then also there was a long period of time that it took the new e-board to get the receipts and stuff from their last year's budget to actually see what they actually spent to compare it to her request this year. I'll just seek unanimous consent to add 2 more minutes to this conversation. Okay, seeing no objections. Yes, so are there any other questions or comments about that? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a voice vote. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Those abstaining?
Aye.
Okay, 2 abstentions. The motion passes. Okay, next, with the remaining time that we have, I'm going to go ahead and do the special committee chair appointments. Starting with the food committee, at this time, I make the motion to nominate Senator Emily Day to be the food special committee chairperson.
Second.
All right, hearing a second, I'll allocate 3 minutes to this conversation. Senator Day filled out the application form. She really highlighted her connection with the current people who are in charge of Aramark, mainly Mark Marson and Maria. And I thought that would be a good resource for her to utilize when it comes to working in this role. She also has a lot of experience with planning events and working with them, and also just going there yourself. So, and you highlighted that you do want to make sure that the student body is benefited by having the Aramark services and make sure that the complaints and stuff like that that you do here would go to Mark. So, and also just from conversations I had from Mark, I know he is 100% open to student feedback. He came to the Senate and said that he would love to have more feedback from us. I think this is a step in the right direction to get this committee back up and running and have you be the chair of it. So are there any questions or comments? Yes.
I do have one comment. I'm planning on actually meeting with Mark this week to discuss some changes that he wants to update us on before we move to spring semester. So I do have a meeting.
Senator Lewis.
So just something I wanted to bring up to him, little robots don't take meal swipes for deliveries.
Okay.
Senator Holman.
Can you tell us when that is? Because I also have, on the athletic side, we also have something going on with Mark as well. And being part of that conversation would like benefit us in this as well.
Yeah, once he confirms the time.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to, just out of the interest of time, move us to a roll call vote, or sorry, a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining?
Aye.
One abstention. Motion passes. Congratulations. Next, for the Special Committee for Health and Wellbeing, at this time, I make the motion to appoint Senator Samantha Bolio to be the Special Committee Chairperson for the Health and Wellbeing Committee.
Second.
Hearing a second, I will allocate 3 minutes to this conversation. Again, she highlighted her interest in making sure that the campus community's concerns are heard in regards to the Center of Health and Wellbeing, and also a willingness to work with the members of that department, or the staff members of that department in specific. I know Lauren Danzero reached out to me a couple weeks ago and was very, very interested in having some senators talk with her about the services that they offer and ensuring that they are meeting the needs of the students. And just from her application, I thought that she would do an amazing job at that. So are there any questions, comments, or remarks about this? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into another voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining?
Aye.
One abstention. Motion passes. I missed something on the budget section, so we're gonna jump back to that. My apologies. I'm actually gonna hand the floor off to Senator Piacenza for this part.
All right, at this time, as the ranking member of the Finance Committee, I make the recommendation that the Student Senate reclaims $200 from the Sports Management Association.
So moved. Second. All right, I'll get 3 minutes to this conversation. Go ahead.
All right, Chairperson Peralt received the Sport Management Association's November Club and Organization Monthly Report, and after analyzing the most up-to-date version of their 2024-2025 working budget, he noticed that they canceled their Flag Football Showdown event, which they had originally allocated $200 towards. Chairperson Peralt then reached out to their treasurer to inquire about this, and their treasurer informed him that they were no longer going to be hosting this event. So he explained the budget reclamation process to their treasurer, and they agreed that since they are no longer hosting this event, we can proceed with this recommendation, and that the Sport Management Association agrees with this recommendation.
Are there any questions or comments about that? Okay, we'll move into a voice vote for this as well. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining?
Aye.
One abstention. Motion passes. Yeah, first reclamation. Next, with whatever remaining time we have left, I wanted to have a discussion about graduate student activities and involvement. So it has come to the attention of the e-board and many other e-boards around campus, and I'm sure some of you, that there are a lot of graduate students that are actively working with or involved in clubs and organizations across this campus. There are multiple issues with that. The first is that they don't pay into the fee that we allocate to clubs and organizations. There is not a graduate student involvement fee that they are issued like we do with the undergraduate student activities fee. So it is a little bit unethical, in my opinion, for them to be signing off on documents, being on like a club e-board and coming up with plans to use money for a pool that they simply don't pay into. But the second issue with that is our graduate student population is big enough to almost warrant their own student government and representation, and to have maybe a fee like that so that they can put on events, create groups, and do stuff together. So I just wanted to open the floor to a conversation about this, and I see that there's a lot of people who would like to talk, so I'm gonna start with Senator Bouchard.
So one thing that is kind of like something like on a personal issue is I came in with enough AP credits where I can like finish my master's degree in my senior year. So again, I feel like, and a lot of students that are in my boat kind of feel the same way. It's like we want to get involved in clubs and we want to become on e-boards and clubs, but we really only have 3 years to do it. So it's like kind of figuring out a solution, like how do we be involved in our campus community in our senior year here, when technically it's like we can't be on e-boards, we can't like have those positions. So again, like a lot of people were like just kind of concerned and like where does that leave us for senior year? Like how do we still get involved in our campus community when really like it's not technically our fault that we're just like choosing it to advance ourselves in the future. So again, like it's to kind of like weighing like what are we allowed to do?
Senator DeSantis.
Majority of the graduate students are internationals, as we all know, 90% of them. And I think that I don't want to be very selfish and emphasize on international students, but I just don't think that it is fair to anyone who comes to this college and they don't feel valued enough. Like I think it's okay, like charge them more, but they should have the rights to like involve themselves in all these things. And if the school cannot afford to like, have a separate body for them or whatever it is, they should at least be allowed to be involved in the groups that are already currently active right now, and also be allowed to opt for the go for the Thursday travel trips or whatever the trips they are. Because being an international student myself, these trips have been so helpful, as even the involvement things or like the Senate or the clubs that I'm involved in or the Thursday travel trips, they're very helpful to me to like beat homesickness. And 90% of them being internationals, I really think they should be allowed to do this because it's just not easy to face all these challenges. And the school, as we all know, the school is struggling a little, in terms of finances. They are trying to attract more graduate students. That is the initiative that I heard from the admission department. So like, how do they expect graduate students to come in and not have the rights to involve themselves in majority of the things? How, that's just not making sense to me.
Chairperson Cloutier.
In my opinion, if you're not paying into the pool that it funds these undergraduate programs in the clubs and orgs, then you shouldn't be a part of it. I think it'd be different if there was a graduate student activities fee, but without that, I don't think there should be any graduate students in our clubs and organizations.
Yeah, something that I've been advocating for, basically because of like the vision that was put forward last year with the All Student Advisory Committee, was their vision was one university, one vision, and finding ways to unite us across this campus. It feels like a lot of times there are things that do divide students who go here when all of us are simply students who go here. The law school, for example, they don't really have any interactions with us. It feels like we're two isolated parts and almost like a completely different university at times. And that's kind of an important thing to note, because also the law school has their own student government, and they are able to do activities as graduate students. And so does the pharmacy school. But when it comes to the College of Business, the College of Engineering, and some parts of the College of Arts and Science that do have graduate programs, they're not represented in that way. So the question is, for those groups, do we want to integrate them with us because they don't have something, or should we give them a graduate council and allow them to do their own thing with their own fee? And that's what I kind of want to ask you all, both today and when we come back in December. So, Senator Hunt.
So yeah, going back to that conversation, I think like with the many different events I have ran, it is always to ask that awkward question, like, are you an undergrad, are you a grad student? Which that could be lead into an issue. Because I remember this conversation last year too. Because I ran G-Bears Got Talent, and we did have to tell someone that they cannot win the prize because they were a graduate student. And I do think it is a little unfair, especially with the College of Engineering and College of Business and some parts of College of Arts and Science, that they have no representation, because I do know about the law government because my friend happens to be in it. And they have their own, but I do agree with the idea of possibly having the arts and science, engineering, and business with this cohesive.
Senator Bissonnette.
I do want to echo what Chairperson Cloutier said, where I feel like it's very unfair that people can or unfair to create this rule where people who are not paying into this fee would be benefiting from those of us who do pay the fee. But I believe for example, law has its own and pharmacy has their own representation. They have their own fee where it would be a logistical nightmare, but if there was some sort of way for business, engineering, and parts of arts and sciences for those grad students to optionally join or pay this involvement fee in order for them to be able to reap those benefits.
Senator Goddard.
One thing I will just say, kind of going off of Senator Bouchard's point, there are some undergrad students who are starting their masters in their senior year, or at least trying to work towards it. They're still technically undergraduate at that point, even if they start working towards that master's degree. So how is that gonna impact them, especially if they're trying to be on e-boards with different clubs and organizations? And just knowing that I know multiple people who are trying to go into their master's or senior year with that.
If you need to leave for a class, we're not voting on anything else for the rest of the meeting. Yes.
So speaking as someone who is in this situation next year, I'm going into a grad program. I personally believe that any student who has not gotten their bachelor's degree should have the right to be in an e-board of a fund. Anyone who wants to put the work in should be able to put the work in, because if you're on an e-board, let's say you're running an event, you can't benefit from that. You can't, sure, you can take a grab and go item, but you can't enter raffles, you can't take any sort of meaningful sum of money. So you're more helping that event and keeping your title into your senior year, because it would be unfair to just break a streak of oh, I've been on this e-board for 3 years and I just can't participate my senior year because of this rule. It's just, it's backwards, because we're not actually getting any of that 250 from being on an e-board directly.
Senator Jay.
I think that the conversation about undergraduate students who are transitioning into a graduate program early is slightly separate than those who just come here as graduate students. I think that there should be some sort of option for people who are going into a 3+3 program or the pharmacy program or the MBA program where there's still a way for them to stay involved through their senior year. But I think that it's an interesting dynamic with the graduate students who are solely graduate students who aren't in that transition period, just because it is true that they don't pay a fee. But also at the same time, even though they don't pay a fee, I don't see a way of actually preventing these people from participating in events, because regardless, they're still going to show up and attend these events whether or not they're paying the fee or not. So I feel it would be a better use, instead of trying to prevent them from accessing these events, to maybe see if there's a way that they can opt in to a fee if they want to attend these events.
Something that I will say is some people who are in those gray areas where it may be in your case, but it might not be. If you're under that, I believe 120 credit threshold, but you're doing your master's program to hit your undergraduate program and you haven't walked it, you are still paying the fee and you can actually be a part of clubs. As long as you are paying that fee, because there are certain things where our university tries to keep you as undergraduate status for as long as possible because it's cheaper. And you get more benefits because of that. So for that reason, if you are paying that fee, as long as you are paying it, even if you are taking graduate classes, you are still considered an undergrad and still completing your bachelor's, if that makes sense. I do just have to cut this conversation short just to get through the rest of the agenda, but thank you all for talking about this. This will definitely guide conversations going forward. I think we should talk about it again at a later date. We're gonna move, there's only one visitor, but visitors' comments. Are there any comments?
I love you.
Okay. Alright, next reports, Finance Committee Chairperson. I did have something from Treasurer Peralt. He posted this on the Student Leadership Kodiak. But essentially, the November Club and Organization Monthly Report must be completed by Sunday, December 1st at 10:00 p.m. Any club and organization that fails to complete the November Club and Organization Monthly Report by Sunday, December 1st at 10 p.m. will have their account frozen during the subsequent Student Senate meeting, which will take place on December 3rd. He will post another announcement in the Student Leadership Kodiak and will send another email reminder on Saturday, November 30th, which is a day before when the monthly report is due. And then he explains what those groups need to do to unfreeze their budget if they miss that deadline. But legislative, so.
Yeah, I'll try to make this brief. The legislative committee has received the cheer constitution and CARE. We reviewed CARE, so please expect that when we return for the spring. We reached out to the Westerner and Cupola, and as for club creations, Airsoft Club has gotten on my radar. If you're interested in that, please contact Evan Katie or Carson LeBeau. I believe, LeBeau, my bad. And pickleball, if you are interested in that, please reach out to Tessa Rodriguez. And in the interest of time, please refer to the minutes for my full report.
Yes. Campus relations.
Let's see, we are moving forward with the garden project. We have a new contact at facilities, Paul Buchanan.
Yeah.
And right now, we're looking to get sketches so that we can send them to landscapers to bid on them, and that's where we're at with that project. We sent out me and President Kaufman sent out a Microsoft form looking for feedback on the club and organization monthly reports, and it was sent to 178 e-board members, and we got 0 responses. So I'm assuming that means no one had any complaints. And I'm gonna send out the club faculty and staff of the month form after this meeting. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Something that I do want to reiterate from that is the form that we sent out had like a Likert scale in place for them to put their own comments. So they could have put anything they wanted about the monthly report and we didn't get a single response back from it. So, and I was just looking for feedback. I know some of you were on the email for it. So if you do have any complaints or suggestions, please actually fill it out. We are looking at that. So yes, public relations.
I would like to formally announce Senator Bolio as my ranking member. And on that note, now that we have full ranking members, I will be sending an email out to you. If you have a headshot, beautiful. I want it. And so I can make a post about it. It'll be super cute, lovely. Blah, blah, blah. We'll be doing the public safety meet and greet. We talked about that. And yes, that's it today.
Kaylee had to leave for a class. So senators' comments. Are there any last second comments? Yes, Senator Hunt.
So just letting you all know, the spring event e-board application is live right now. It is till December 6th. And if you haven't filled out the spring event genre survey, please do. That gives us some really good feedback on what we can focus on for artists. So yeah, those are the two.
Send it to me.
I don't know if they're actually waiting for the class that is in here after this, so we're just gonna cut this short. At this time, I seek unanimous consent to adjourn. Are there any objections? No.
Wait, isn't that an objection?
If you guys I told Jack, so.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
If you tag
Yeah,
me and
I'll-
everything, that way I can post it. So I can all that.
Yeah, we've been going on youth posts too about it.
I'll share this shit.
I also have to apply for marketing. Like in the middle of the game, it's required for me. I was like,
Yeah, I mean.
like,
Michael, do you have a class in here? Oh, okay.
My wife is appropriate, and I have to drive an hour. My cupcake, it's difficult.
Oh, that's.
Hey, it's okay.
Sorry.
No way strict my dad used to like.
Yeah, I'm a little.
After the past month.
That's a pain in the ass.
Just work on the right one.
I'll take it. I didn't know there was a separate thing. It's a separate moment. Okay, so basically,
Yeah, I've got almost